what are the tools that you would introduce into that inquiry, and how would those tools actually be valuable to the students as opposed to just discussing the topic or just discussing the book?
Okay, so if the children were just going to discuss questions that have been elicited from the book, and not have the tools of inquiry, then they may not reach really deep understanding, because there'd be a lot of random ideas being presented, but there wouldn't be any critical analysis of those ideas because the students may not have the skills to do that. The committee of inquiry process goes through a creative phase and moves into a critical phase. Quite often moves back and forward through those phases, and so students would be thinking in the creative phase of offering lots of ideas and suggestions, but then they would need to think about those ideas and suggestions and critically analyse those and think metacognitively about that as well. So it's the tools that we teach the children to use that help them to do that. And the tools are taught to the students firstly with the more elementary tools of, say, asking open questions or open inquiry questions, giving reasons, and then thinking about the quality of their reasons, providing examples, and then as they move on, providing counter-examples to test assumptions and to test generalisations. They use the skills of making distinctions, clarifying, just trying to think of some more, and uncovering ineffective or faulty reasoning. And so they're taught that explicitly outside of the committee of inquiry in many different ways, quite often with different types of activities, and so that they explicitly understand these skills and tools, and then that they'll be able to use those skills and tools within the inquiry process. But the skills and tools, there's three parts of the inquiry process. You want me to go on with this?
Yeah, please.
There's the intellectual, and that's the use of the inquiry and the reasoning tools. There's also the substantive, which is the concept that you may be exploring, whether it be a source concept like I used as an example before, or whether it might be about friendship, or it might be about what is real, or how do I fit into my world, identity, that type of thing. That's your concept or the substantive element. And then there's the procedural element, and all of those things need to work with each other for it to be a really successful inquiry. So the first thing that we need to think about is really developing those procedural skills with the students before we can, the intellectual and the substantive elements will be able to develop it all. So we teach children things. We have 5 little rules or protocols that we use within the committee of inquiry, and these rules or protocols are our process, so that we listen to each other, or listen attentively, and we build on the ideas of others, and we need to, that's also a tool. It's a tool and a rule or a protocol. It's very, very important, because if we can't build on the ideas, we can't link all those ideas together. We just get random ideas and very, very shallow inquiry. So building on the ideas is a very important part. If we don't listen to others, we can't build on ideas, so those two fit together very well. And then there's a rule or a protocol about respect. I like to talk about it as respect for self, others and place, respect for themselves as learners, the rights of others to learn within the community, or within the learning community, and our place wherever that might be, whether they're out in the environment or whether they're working in the classroom. So respect is a very important part of it, and along with respect, to respect the ideas of others, so that if they're going to disagree, they disagree reasonably and respectfully. They say, I disagree with the idea, rather than I disagree with the person, or I agree with the idea, or rather than I agree with the person. It's about ideas, it's not about people. So once a child has, or a student has offered the idea, that idea is tossed out there in the community for the community to explore, and disagreement is a really important part of it. We need to be able to think about other people's perspectives and really sort of turn this idea upside down and stretch it and look at it like it's a piece of Play-Doh, really.
That's a nice analogy.
Yeah, it's really, look at this idea very thoroughly, and if we have no disagreement, we don't get to do that. We don't think about other people's perspectives. We might not always agree with their perspective, but we at least consider it and think about it, and it gives us a more broad understanding of the idea. And students learn to do this. So exploring disagreement is another inquiry tool that they learn to use, and it can be done through offering alternative suggestions, thinking about different ideas, thinking about other people's perspectives, providing counterexamples. All of those things help us to explore disagreement. And children do this very happily once they know that idea, once it's out there, belongs to the community. It no longer belongs to them, so they don't feel threatened or under conflict if somebody is disagreeing with the idea.
Yeah. So there are 5 protocols. We've got listen attentively, build on ideas of others, respect for self, others and place.
Yes, disagree reasonably and respectfully. And the last one, which also links to the idea of considering everybody's idea, is that there may be many, many correct answers. And it doesn't mean that everybody within the community will think those answers are correct. Sometimes they may disagree with them and may not. But when we're thinking about opinions, we're really looking at considering everybody's opinions. The only time that an idea we might consider it as not correct is if it's not relevant, if it's not anything to do with our concept, or if it's disrespectful.